Another very, very important attribute to an outstanding negotiator is building credibility. And I don't think a lot of people think about this, particularly those that are not particularly skilled in negotiating prior to starting a process. When I was in private equity, I would go out and acquire businesses. Our firm would reach out to business owners. So if you're a business owner out there, you probably get emails, you get calls, you get buy-side brokers tracking you down saying, hey, I represent XYZ private equity firm. They're really interested in your space. They want to do a deal. We love your company. It seems great. Give us a call. Let's have a chat. So in my capacity at American Capital, which was the largest publicly traded buyout shop at the time, the firm would make a lot of reach outs. We would hear from sellers, and we would try to build relationships with them. And the first thing that we try to do is get investment from the potential seller, because the more time and effort somebody invests into a process, into a buyer, the more likely that they are to actually go through a deal. So we would try to get out in front of them quickly, take them out to dinner, wine them and dine them, and have them invest in a relationship. We were also trying to build credibility, that we would actually do what we say we would do. But one of the things that I think was lost on a lot of the sellers who represented themselves in some of these transactions is it's really hard to negotiate with somebody if they don't believe what you say. And I'll give you an example of that. Let's say I work for the private equity firm. I'm talking to Jim. Jim's very interested in doing a deal with us. He wants to sell his mechanical contracting business. It's a $20 million firm. And we put an offer on the table for $20 million, but Jim wants 30. Jim might spend a lot of time having discussions with us. He might poo-poo the offer. Hey, I really wanted more than 20. I really wanted to get 30 to get this thing done. And then as we start to put the LOI on the table, or the letter of intent, all of a sudden Jim out of nowhere says, well, hey, I've got another offer for 32 million. So unless you can match 32 million, I'm going with the other offer. Now, Jim may have been telling the truth, but more times than not, Jim was bluffing. And if Jim hadn't done the work to build up the credibility throughout the duration of the relationship, the easiest thing for us to do was call his bluff. Now, calling a bluff, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later in our discussion, is not always the right thing to do, because, the worst thing to do is he tells you, I want 32 million, otherwise I'm not doing a deal with you. And you were actually willing to pay the 32 million, but you said no way and called this bluff. And it turns out he was bluffing, and then somebody else came in the next day and bought it for 31 million. And those sorts of things happen. So there's some dynamics at play with regard to bluffing, which we're going to discuss. But, building up their credibility is very important, because the more credible you are, in any sort of negotiation, there's going to be aspects that are extremely important to you and some that are not. You might be particularly concerned about price, but you don't care so much about a holdback term, for example. If you've built up that credibility and you're able to trade those things with the other side, and the other side actually believes you, you're going to have a much easier time getting what you want. And at the end of the day, exercising power is really getting others to do what you want.